Today, I'm pleased to announce that I will be signing an executive order to reschedule marijuana from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 controlled substance with legitimate medical uses. We have people begging for me to do this, people that are in great pain.
Welcome back. What you guys just watched was Trump signing an executive order to reclassify cannabis from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 drug. Let's talk about what happened. Let's talk about the price action and why we're not really surprised at what the outcome brought us. It all depends about our technicals and what the charts are doing, because there's bigger money at play that has more control than retail investors like us, and they know exactly how to manipulate the prices to get their outcome. All we can do is react and try to read their plays. So we're going to look at MSOS right now. MSOS closed at 489 today, hitting a high of 725. So a huge intraday swing here with MSOS, but I'm going to tell you guys why it's honestly not that big of a deal. So let's first talk about our SMAs. For those of you not familiar with what these colored lines are, these are moving averages, and I have 4 set out for us. The blue is represented by a 100-day moving average, the green is a 50, the yellow is a 20, and the red is a 200. Whenever the price starts to leave the SMAs, so as you can see right here, our price has been above all 4 of these SMAs. Our RSI was overbought. But personally, I don't really care about the RSI. I really make my trades based on my SMAs. Anytime you start to see the price run away, either to the upside or it could have been to the downside, you know eventually the price has to come back to equilibrium. And in this case, we have 4 SMAs very close together. So we expect the price to come back down to test these levels. And so unfortunately for those people who saw what happened today, the stock crumbled for whatever reason. They have no idea why it happened. But if you understand the laws of trading, you'll understand why not only was this necessary, but this was exactly to be expected. We had a crazy run up, a huge gap to fill right here. Anytime you have a gap to fill, you know we are in some sort of euphoric phase, which we were. We started getting news that there's going to be rescheduling happening, and it eventually happened today. As I have mentioned in my previous videos, this was not a good investment. This was simply a buy the rumor, sell the news. And we knew today we were going to get the news. And so what we need to talk about is what buy the rumor and sell the news means. When you buy the rumor, you are expecting the highest degree of whatever it is that's happening. So with reclassification, you're going to assume the best case scenario. You're going to get tax exemptions, tax relief. There's going to be more benefits for the companies. You don't know exactly what's going to happen, but you're going to predict and you're going to price in the best case scenario, which is why traders love hype and euphoric trades. And so specifically for MSOS, we knew we were in a euphoric phase. We knew there was no fundamental basis to this investment. All we were waiting for was reclassification, because we assumed that there was going to be tax relief for companies now. They'll make more money, they'll be more profitable, their share price will go up, and MSOS will go up with it. However, when you price in perfection, no matter what happens, no matter what the news is, there's always going to be something that does not fulfill what we initially anticipated. And so those of you who watched the conference will know that the only thing that was really talked about were medical benefits, more on the research side. Trump never talked about tax relief for companies, which honestly won't make a difference to the stocks or the companies. And so when the leak came out about what the agenda was, a lot of stuff that people expected to happen for the reclassification did not. And so we saw a major sell-off, a lot of selling happening on lower volume. And then you can see down here, our volume started to pick up. And so right now we are back down to a scenario where we're cooling off. There's no reason to really panic right now. We're still above all of our SMAs, which is what we want to be. This is a very healthy position, very healthy pullback. So I want to show you guys the power of SMAs and why everybody should be trading with moving averages. I truly think it's the best indicator. I would love to see what you guys think in the comments and what you guys use as your best indicators. But for me, SMAs always treat me right. I'm going to show you guys examples of a textbook setup that you always want to use, and usually it is foolproof. And so we're going to go back just through MSOS right now. I'm going to go through the rest of the cannabis stocks right now too. But the order we want to see when we sell a stock is we want to see the 20-day moving average on top of the 50, and then on top of the 100, and then on top of the 200. If our price is at the top and you have that sequence of moving averages, you are now overextended. There's not much room to the upside. You have squeezed a lot of the juice out of the orange, out of the lemon. And so you expect the price now to cool back down. So anytime you have that structure is usually when you sell. And so the disciplined traders don't see what happened today as anything scary, because if you look at our moving averages setup, it is not favorable to sell. I was in this for a trade, but if those people are in it for an investment, there's still more gains to be made on this. So even though we're at 489, look at the setup of your SMAs. We have the blue, green, yellow, red. That is nowhere near a sell signal. And those of you who are disciplined, you're waiting for the setup to be the yellow, the green, the blue, the red, and the price above. Once you get a setup like that, you have more confidence in selling. All of this could be a scare. Tomorrow you could see the price bounce back up. You know, big money has been manipulating this. And usually what happens after the news, hedge funds, bigger money, they want to get in cheaper. Those hedge funds are trying to get the best possible price. So they're going to bring the price down at the expense of retail traders like us. But if you know how to read the charts, you will save yourself a lot of stress and a lot of money. And so with MSOS, you can see we're still relatively healthy. We're above all SMAs. Expect this gap to potentially get filled, but we will definitely come back and test these SMAs. Let's look at CGC. A very similar type of day today. We had a crazy run up. We closed really down, but if you look at the SMAs, again, we are still well above all SMAs. We are still positive from the last 5 trading sessions. So again, even though we got a massive pullback, this is a cool down. And if we go back to my theory, look at CGC. If we look at all of CGC's tops, right? If we come back here and we look at this massive run up, you can see the price is at the top. You have the yellow, the green, the blue, the red. This was a sell signal. Once you get to this point, you sell, and then you can see. And then inversely, your buy signal is usually when you have the opposite setup. When you have something like the price at the bottom, then you have the yellow, the green, the blue, and the red. And so this becomes the buy. And so if you just follow this simple mechanism, you understand your SMAs, you understand what you're looking at, you will be in a lot better of a position to trade than the average retail trader. If you look at Tillray, for example, Tillray doesn't look as good as the rest, but what I do like about Tillray is that it did not have a euphoric phase. Tillray has had stock splits. I'm personally not a fan of Tillray. This is one of those plays that used to get a lot of attraction with short squeezes. It's had so many stock splits. Anytime a stock has a stock split, I like to stay away. This is the best investment right now for me. It's HITI. HITI and Tillray actually have a very similar chart. But the fundamentals are completely different. HITI, in my opinion, is a very overlooked stock. This one has a very strong trading channel currently. If we look at how clear this uptrend has been, this has been smooth sailing. This is what I call a nice and steady uptrend. When you have a nice and steady uptrend like this, you're eventually going to get a blow off top. But right now, we're not at that phase. This is an accumulation. This is a play that everybody should get in. If you are into cannabis, this is your #1 play as an investment. I will ride with this stock until it goes up. Really great management. Raj Grover is doing an amazing thing. They opened up shop in Germany, and now with this news, I'm sure they're going to capitalize somehow in the US markets. So very exciting time here for HITI. But if we're going back to the bread and butter of MSOS, those of you who are worried, don't be. Still in a very healthy position here, and we're looking now to potentially get back down into this 440 down to this 415 range. If we trade sideways, that's also not a bad play, but I do expect us to come back down, scare out a lot more people so that these hedge funds can get their money's worth, get these cheap shares, and then we should start making our way back up. If you're new to trading and investing, you might be very confused. You might be very uncertain. You might be scared. You might have even sold today because you were scared at what was about to happen next. But the reality is, if you look at the charts and you understand the charts, this is me trying to help you guys. Even though I'm not the best trader in the world, I make mistakes. People have known in my videos, I've made a lot of mistakes, but I've also had a lot of wins. And so with my losses, with my wins, I have derived a pretty strong fundamental basis when it comes to trading. And I look at key indicators. And so what I saw today, And in the last couple of videos I've explained, this was a trade. Buy the rumor, sell the news. When the euphoria is high, take advantage, take profits off the table. Usually you don't want to sell the whole thing because it could continue to go up. Take some partial shares off the table, lock in some profits, and then try again when it dips. And so now we're going to see how this thing shakes out. It's going to take probably a couple weeks for everything to settle down. Volatility might be high for the next little bit, but what I do want to see now is low volume on red days, and I want to see higher volume on green days, specifically with MSOS. I will make a standalone video for HITI because I do think it deserves one. It is the best investment in the cannabis industry. And those of you who are from America, this is a Canadian stock, which is why it doesn't get the attention it deserves. But that is all I have for you guys today. Today was a massive day for the cannabis industry, and Trump has been doing a lot of stuff for the states, signing a lot of executive orders. The man has been busy. The man has been doing great. And I will see you guys whenever it is I make my next video. If you guys have any suggestions of stocks you want me to talk about, leave them in the comments. I would love to take a look at them, and I will see you guys in the next one.